everyone, my name is Danuta and welcome to Danuta's Corner, my cooking blog here on YouTube. Also, you can follow me on Instagram. So what we have over here is a power air fryer model CM001, and this is a 1700 watts, 600 cubic, temperature ranging up to 400 Fahrenheit. So this air fryer also has many possibilities. You can fry, you can roast, you can dehydrate, you can bake. Possibilities are endless. Okay, so before you start, there is few things I would recommend you do before you actually start cooking in it. So the first thing I would do is hand wash all the accessories and all the equipment and the trays, as well as wipe inside and out with a damp little sponge or a towel to make sure it's clean. Secondly, run the air fryer for about 3 to 5 minutes without anything in it, just to burn off any possible residue before you put any food in it. And lastly, make sure you find a right spot for it. Okay, so only because this air fryer actually has vents in the back, so you want to make sure you're at least 5 inches away from the wall, so you don't want to damage your tiles if you have a nice splash and then you're surprised why it breaks. So same thing with above, make sure it's not below any type of cabinets. You don't want to damage your cabinets as well. You want to make sure that you get the full advantage of the air fryer. Let's go over the accessories and parts it came with. So we have 3 airflow racks and of course a drip tray. So that goes in first at the bottom, and then you could use all 3 or one at a time depending how big your items are. So, okay, so they slide in just like that, very easily. They are also very easy to clean. Well, even though they are dishwasher safe, I prefer to hand wash them only because of the little crevices food gets stuck in, so I don't entirely trust the dishwasher. So, but it's a preference. Okay. So the next thing that I really also like is a mesh basket. This is ideal for French fries, but not just French fries. You can do pretty much anything here. Anything like roasted nuts or smaller vegetables. I'm planning on trying this out today with some Brussels sprouts. So let's see how it goes. Okay, so let's move on to my favorite accessory, which is the Rotisserie skewers. So this comes with 10 skewers, and right away I have to let you know these are very sharp. So while this is very helpful when you inserting food, especially meat, but then be very careful not to hurt yourself. Okay, so this is how we put it together. So each blade has a little screw here that will help us tighten up to the main rod. Okay, so going in this way, let me actually open it first. Okay, so the screw fell out, but not a big deal. Just put it back in. And from now I'm going to keep it slightly loose just so I can adjust the length. So the length we want to be wide enough so that we can insert the skewers. So, okay, just to test it, I'm gonna put it right here. Okay, that sounds like a good distance. So at this moment I'm going to tighten them on both ends. Okay, and putting the skewers in it is actually very easy as well. So at this end we have a little curve which will help us to tighten it in. So we're going into the inserts right here, squeeze it. Actually, I'll start first with putting it, securing it in a hole, this way it's not moving, and then squeezing it and slightly turn it. So this way, now I know the skewer is secure. So we'll do the same thing with the other 9. So one by one. Let's go. Okay, so our skewer rotisserie is ready. Next, let me show you how to put it in the oven. Okay, so first of all, both ends are slightly different. So this is the left side, and this is the right side. This one is a little different, and that's important. So for the demonstration purposes, I'm going to do this obviously without food so you can see a little better. But so basically, while this is actually cold before you cook, you can insert it with your hands, but remember to retract it. You will use so-called fetch tool, which I'll demonstrate after. So let's put this in. This goes on the second from the top and push it all the way. There's a little hole that goes in there, and on the other side it has to drop into that indentation, so it will allow to rotate properly. While the food is cooked, make sure you use the fetch tool, and it's out, and then put it safely on a plate to rest. Same thing with putting it in. If you don't want to put it with your hands, this is of course a little safer and even more comfortable once you get used to it. You can also put it in with the fetch tool. Okay, and lastly, you're also getting more of a traditional rotisserie for the chicken or pork roast or anything slightly bigger. And this of course rotates. You can adjust it, has screws on both sides, depending how big your item is. Once you have it set up, you tighten it in. Again, you can use your fetch tool to put the meat inside of the oven, just like that. Also retract it, of course, the same way. And yes, this is great, especially the fetch tool. You can also use it on the mesh basket for your French fries. And lastly, last but not least, you get 3 wonderful books with some recipes, dehydration, making chips, nuts, and beef jerkies, and so on. A rotisserie, of course, the #1 and American favorites, so you can do pretty much anything you'd like. I have made a few things in just 1 week. I've had this machine. I'm really impressed, and I'm going to show you just a few things that I've made. Okay, so enough of talking. Let me show you what I've made so far. Okay, so I think the very first thing I did was kale chips, because I was super excited to find out how to make the kale chips. So I followed the book recipe, which was asking for temperature of 130 for 15-20 minutes on dehydrate mode. Well, that actually didn't work out for me so well. I felt I had to bump up the temperature to 165 and extend the time to 30 minutes. It may be a matter of preference, but I didn't feel that they were done. So just to become a little more crispy, a little more dry, it needed more time. If you don't want to go through the dehydration process, I have found out you can just achieve pretty much similar effect by baking them at much higher temperature, 350 to 370, for way shorter time, so maybe 10-15 minutes. Okay, and my next thing that I tried, I couldn't also wait to try, was of course the skewers. So the skewers I have made for New Year's Eve, which is a great snack, really easy to share. So basically I have used the rotisserie skewers for 20 minutes at temperature 350 Fahrenheit. So again, you could dial up or dial down both the time or the temperature, depending how well you want the meat done. So again, you can adjust that. But that worked out for me pretty well, about 20 minutes, the 350. Like I said earlier, you could make anything in there. So my next adventure, I thought I wanted to bake something. And even though I'm not a baker, I thought that this would be pretty easy. So I made a cheesecake. Very easy. Very easy. This only took about temperature 350 Fahrenheit and 15 minutes. I felt that they were finished prior to the 15 minutes. So you can turn it off if you feel that they are done. This also worked out beautifully. So you use whatever form you would use in a traditional oven. And just play with your temperatures, just to feel it out, learn how this machine cooks. But the cheesecake came out wonderfully. Okay, so last but not least, what is missing into all these examples I have tried here? We have lunch, we have dinner, we have dessert, but we haven't talked about breakfast. So yesterday I thought to myself, why not just bake an egg? So I used one of the forms that I used for the cheesecake, put my egg in, put a couple sausages, put it in for, okay, eggs were at temperature 350 Fahrenheit for 10 minutes. Again, I feel I had it for too long and they would have been just perfect in about 5 minutes. Okay, so lastly, let me leave you with a few tips and that I'd like to share with you. First of all, this machine has 8 presets for different things like French fries, broiling fish, seafood baking, roasting, and so on, dehydrating. But also, don't forget, you can always adjust the temperature and time to your liking. So don't be afraid to play with it. You do have a light, so you can always see your food cooking. And turn it off. Okay, going back to my tip. Don't be afraid to use wax paper. I learned it the hard way. I was using this airflow racks for kale chips, and there was cheese dripping down. There was little pieces of kale all over the place. So yeah, just don't be afraid to use wax paper. Adjust the size to fit it for anything that's dripping, liquidy, or falling apart, just like in a regular oven. Okay, my other tip, not sure if this works in every air fryer, but this door comes off and it's really easy to clean. You can wipe it comfortably. Also, it's very easy to get into the cavity of the oven and make sure you clean everything. Clean your oven every day. Make sure it's always clean and stored properly. And again, don't forget about the vents. Never put anything on top. Thank you for watching. If you found my video useful, please subscribe, as I will be posting more videos about the Power Air Fryer as some other recipes. You can also follow me on Instagram at Danutella's Corner, where I post shorter videos and some recipes and culinary ideas. I'm also starting a new business with a mini food truck here in New York City. So if you'd like to find out how that goes, this is my first time trying this adventure. So fingers crossed, and I will be updating you and everyone who subscribed on this channel how my adventure goes.